It's episode 218 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture. I'm your host, Brian Barnett.
I'm Chris Shriver.
And I'm O'Dell Harmon Jr.
Hey! Thanks for joining us this week, O'Dell.
Yeah,
My
good to have you
pleasure,
back.
My pleasure. Glad to be back. You know, not talking about Metroid this time, but we're talking about my first love at some point, so it's all good.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I had the very good fortune to be on O'Dell's Full Circle podcast, which was a lot of fun, talking about Metroid.
Nice.
Talking about some relatively spicy takes that I have about Metroid Prime, but, you know, whatever.
I will forever disagree with Brian Barnett in his opinion of Metroid Prime.
Did you finally play it?
Oh, there's no way he did. There's no way.
Okay, I was like,
yeah.
Because he would be singing a completely different song if he did.
Oh, yeah.
Josh just texted me.
Oh, did he? Is he all right?
He said, "Hey, I just woke up. I was sick all day."
Oh,
I can be there
no.
in like 10 minutes. I'm just gonna tell him if he's not feeling well, it's fine.
All right, that's fine. Welcome to the podcast within a podcast. My name is Chris Shriver, where we check in with our friends who might be sick. We didn't know that before we started recording the show.
Okay, I let him know. We're totally good either way.
O'Dell, I have a question for you. I did not ask you this earlier. Are you a traditional Popeyes chicken eater, or are you a spicy Popeyes chicken eater?
Man, you gotta go with spicy.
Man.
Let's be real. Their spicy is not their spicy though. It's not.
It's not.
You know,
like you get that Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwich. It's like, woo, that's got a kick.
That's
Popeyes.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
The spicy chicken deluxe sandwich from Chick-fil-A with no cheese specifically, because I think the cheese ruins that sandwich.
Specifically.
I think the cheese ruins the sandwich. It's so light and like the vegetables are so crispy and fresh. It's so good. So good.
No, for anyone
I don't eat there anymore. But...
I had like the little black thing you put on top of the microphone, but it fell off. I don't know where it's at.
Oh, the pop filter? That's all right, bud.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm popping.
So we got to watch those plosives.
That's right.
Luckily, mine has not fallen off, although it did feel really tenuous when I put it on the first time.
Oh.
I'm one of those guys.
All right, so what are we going to talk about this week? I'm going to talk a little bit about Jett the Far Shore, and we're going to talk about some Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I think our boy Chris is ready to talk about some Inscription. Where do we want to start?
Oh, I wouldn't mind getting right into Pokemon and hear some of O'Dell's takes on it.
Oh, yeah, you know. So I will say this about Arkeus or Arceus. I say Arceus, but I actually had a conversation with someone who informed me that the correct pronunciation, Japanese pronunciation, is Arceus. But for the international crowd, they didn't like the idea of people saying Arse for, you know, for the obvious reasons. So they went that for the international release that they wanted it canonically said as Arkeus to avoid any, you know, bad things. So I was like, so everyone is both simultaneously right and wrong. Fun fact.
I like that because I say Arceus and now it's just bending towards me. It's just the world is coming around to my way of thinking, and I love to see it.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna say right off the bat, this game 5-6 years ago would have been a 10 out of 10 damn near game of the year contender.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're not 5-6 years ago. We're in 2022. But I really think the game is good. Like, if I was rating the game like as a base game, like just a game, no love for the series or anything, I'd say it would be a solid 7, maybe even a 7.5. But the thing that's magical about this game is the more you do and know about Pokemon, the better it continually gets. And I just think that's important for a series, like, you know, to be like, this game at its core is still a 7 game, even, you know, with the restrictions that, you know, we shouldn't be dealing with today, but hey, it is what it is. But then, you know, we get into the minutia of like what makes Pokemon, why do people love it, why do people resonate with it? And Arceus didn't do anything new. It just shifted the perspective and gave us something we wanted in a surprising way. And I think that's phenomenal because, it's almost like, I mean, yes, it's like Breath of the Wild. Yes, we get it. But I mean, from a conceptual design point, because Breath of the Wild also, if you look at everything Zelda has done from, the first game up until now, it literally does not one single thing new, more or less. It just shifts the perspective. And, you just viewed it at it from a different angle. So it just took all the pieces it had, changed the angle, and it made, something phenomenal. And Pokemon did the same thing. Unlike the other Breath of the Wild clones.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Like there are, I feel like it'd be interesting to play this game as somebody who didn't grow up playing Pokemon. Like if this was like my first Pokemon game, because I think a lot of the things that I appreciate about it are the ways that they kind of take the traditional Pokemon formula and just like tweak it a little bit, or like just enough where it's like, oh, that's new or that's different. Whereas if it was my first time, it'd just be like, okay, this is how I'm assuming this is how a Pokemon game works, and like whether or not that's a good or bad thing, to that type of person. But no, I definitely agree with you in terms of like it being like that 7.75 scale. Like while I would say the first like 15-20 hours are very strong, in the way that it dishes out like the new ways that you traverse the world or like different missions and things like that. And the way that they have you backtrack throughout the whole experience. Once you get like a new ride Pokemon, you're like, ooh, that means I can go here, and there might be other Pokemon there, and then sure enough, there always are. And it keeps it fresh. I could definitely see though towards the end of the game, and this is what a lot of people said, and I think like the IGN review said it as well. Like the grind that has to happen, or I expect is going to happen at the end of the game, has got to be pretty significant. Just because eventually it's just like, all right, you have to continue to fill out the decks, but it's like it depends on how much of the. It's almost like Ghost of Tsushima, or like how my experience with Ghost of Tsushima was. Like I padded out my side quests like pretty significantly throughout the whole story. Like I didn't just like beeline it through all the main story moments. But had you done that, you're left with like this giant litany of like, oh my god, I have like so many side quests that I have to do, and like I don't know if I'm gonna stick around much longer. Whereas with this, like I think it's kind of a similar situation where if you do pad it out throughout, it may not be as bad, but I mean even so, I don't think most people are going to be doing like, all right, I'm completing everything in this one section and then going to the next one, and so I think that's probably my only main gripe with it. Like otherwise though, like I do love, for as not bad of a game as it is, but like as many problems as it has, I do love it. Like I love playing it.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with you. So it's fun fact. So I really thought like in the first 10 hours, I was like, man, I can see everywhere this game is gonna get tedious. But I will say, about time you get to the point where you need to fill out your decks, you've learned enough, you've seen enough to where it's like, oh, I can just fight 5 of these, or I can just catch like one more. Or, you see the different. Because at first I thought you had to do all the research points to completion, but
right.
you only need 10 points. And there's ways and different ways. And then one thing, a lot of Pokemon appear in more than one biome, where Pokemon's kind of rare in this biome, is kind of plentiful in another. That's not the same for all of them. Some of them are just rare, period. So that kind of helps with what you're talking about, get to the point. And once you get to the point where you need to, fill out the decks, that's kind of like you're basically in in-game material where it's like the story is basically done. And, like basically once you get to that point where you need to do it, if you chose to tap out, I think you could, respectfully and just be okay. If you're just casually going about. But if you want to see it through to that end, I don't think it's too tedious. Because by the time you get to that point, it should be more like specialized things. Like you're either almost done with this, dex entry, or you already did it at some point and didn't realize it.
Right.
But you will definitely, like, let's just say if you're just, Ghost of Tsushima, similarly, if you're just directly beelining it, yeah, it's gonna be that hard crush. But I think if you take your time, by that I mean like you actually enjoy it, you don't always mainline. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna go explore over there. Oh, I have the ability to go here now. I think you'll naturally hit that thing, and then the space time distortions. That's a real good way to just rack up dex entries. If you absolutely just avoided them, just kind of wait out for those, and you can fill them out that way.
They're super fun too. Like that's a great addition just to the whole formula.
Yeah, but I will say, as a Pokemon purist, there's things I want to see going forward and things that I don't. The battle system is asinine. It's just bad from Pokemon battling perspective. But you don't really battle a lot in this game. It's almost it's a very small part of the experience.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't like to see any of that. Just keep it classic. But what I love, since Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came out, you see some of the locations in that game here, and it's amazing to look at what we've been looking at as 2D sprites the whole time fully realized. So I would love if they did, they went back in time and was like, this is the Legends version of the originals or the remake, or they just kept it the way, like, here's just Kanto back in the day, and here's what they've been doing.
Right. Yeah, that's another piece of it too. Like, I don't know how do they, or let's say I'm Nintendo and I'm like, all right, O'Dell, you get to set up like the next Pokemon Legends game. Like, how do they set that up canonically so that it's not like, oh, you're building the first Pokedex, but in Kanto? Like, I don't know how they set that up without, it just being a
I wouldn't even try to connect them, honestly.
Really?
Like, from a story's perspective, especially given how the game starts, you're just like thrusted. It could just be like, hey, this is just Kanto and just a time period.
Yeah.
And you're just doing stuff in this style of play. In the same sense how like Pokemon Colosseums and Gala Darkness aren't connected in any way other than like gameplay devices.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, they were very much their own thing. Like, just kind of like an Elseworlds of Pokemon.
Yeah, so, but like, I hope like this style continues, like the Gen 9, Gen 10. Like, they take some of what, Arceus did, Arceus did. I can't say it, bro. I'm sorry. It's hard. I gotta think about it. They take what it does, and like, they did it, with the Sword and Shield DLC. We saw a little bit of it, but we end up with, maybe not a Breath of the Wild style map, but a connected single continent. You go in towns. It looks like they shoot the Pokemon in the Outworld. We'll need Switch 2 for this to happen. Nintendo, make Switch 2. Why don't we have Switch 2? I saw a rumor about Switch 2 coming out this year, and I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done with any Switch 2 rumors.
No, yeah,
they've been doing this. They've been saying it's coming out this year every year since the Switch came out.
Yeah.
And now the Switch is what, number 5 best-selling console of all time? Like,
that's insane.
It's ridiculous.
And honestly, like, how was your how much did it bother you, like, playing on the Switch, like, compared to, because you have like a PS5 and yeah, so like you're used to the next gen gaming experience. Like,
it's current gen now, baby.
Oh, current gen. Like, did it take you out of it at all? Like, the Pokemon in the draw distance, like flapping their wings, and
it's a negative point. Like, there's no positive spin on it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of funny. It's like, yeah, look, it's 8-bitted, but I think it depends on where you grew up. Like, I grew up on 8-bit, so I can play Mario 64 today right now and have zero issues with it.
Right.
But I grew up with that. I'm used to that. That's fine. So seeing that, it's like, it's bad by today's standards, no doubt, but it's not unplayable.
Yeah,
nothing about the game is unplayable for me visually. But let's say I was a kid where my first introduction to video gaming was like Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Then I don't know.
Yeah, there's a good chance you look at it and you're like, well, what's going on here? Yeah, but no, I agree with you. Like, it definitely there are things that I notice and I definitely laugh at, but like I also like I play my N64 at least once a week. Like it doesn't. I can live with it. Like it doesn't bother me at all, and it doesn't
His
take
favorite
away
game
from
of
the
all
gameplay
time is
experience.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
It can't be that bad.
You don't like Banjo-Kazooie? You think it's overrated?
He hates it.
I think it's bad. But in my defense, I also think Mario 64 is bad. And
I was about to say, if you think that's bad, you have to think Mario 64 is also bad.
Yeah, he's not big on a lot of the 3D Mario like platformers.
There's only 2 good 3D Mario games.
And it's 3D Land and 3D World.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, those are the only
you
ones.
You don't like Galaxy?
I've to get some background information. I did not have a 64, and I barely had access to a Wii. So I don't have any nostalgia for those, and I don't think that they hold up.
Honest question. I think Mario 64 holds up. That could be rose-colored glasses. I won't deny, but okay. I think it holds up. With that said, if you had played Mario 64 around its original release, do you think you would feel differently? I'm not saying you can still hold the opinion that it doesn't hold up, but would you still think it was a bad game?
I don't know, and the reason why I will hedge this a little bit, and I will give it to you guys this way. My buddy Mike, who I grew up with, he had a 64, even though I didn't. And what he would do is they were always renting stuff, and so the games that they rented were Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart 64, and Ocarina of Time. So those are the ones, and GoldenEye. So those are the only 4 64 games that I basically ever played.
Yeah.
And I have some pretty good nostalgia for those games. And I feel like some of those games still hold up. Like, I think Ocarina of Time 3D is legitimately a pretty good game.
The one for the DS.
The one for the DS, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it a lot of quality of life things. It looks way better. Like that sort of stuff. Like if those games got like that sort of a treatment, I would probably feel better, but there's not that many ways to play them. You know, if you don't have that old hardware, unless you
legally
want to get into emulating or whatever. And I'm not willing to spend the extra for Nintendo Switch Online because that service is trash.
It's getting better. It has gotten better, I will say.
It has gotten better?
It has gotten
the 64 stuff has gotten better?
At least I can't speak to the online stuff, but I mean, I got to Click Clock Wood this weekend in Banjo-Kazooie, and it runs pretty great.
I got my Switch right here on my desk. Like, the ability to play Super Metroid and the original version of Tetris Attack and, like, Super Mario World and all those games on there for a pretty nominal fee is, like, fine. I wish that I could just have them.
I mean, you will when the Steam Deck comes out.
I mean, well. But, yeah, like, that sort of stuff is, like, a little bit annoying to me, and like I'm not gonna pay extra for a console that I have no nostalgia for.
Sure.
I think if you really wanted to get people to pay extra, you should have put NES and Super NES on there. But you know, I'm not Nintendo, and they make weird decisions. So, but I will give you that. And in Mario 64's defense, I have played very little of that. I think I've played most of like the first painting or something. Like way back in the day.
There's so much you don't.
I'm gonna come over and drop off my copy of 3D All Stars, and you gotta beat. You don't have to get all 120 stars, but you have to beat Mario 64. You could do it on stream, and I just want to see how you will feel after that.
I may have actually gotten a copy of that game, so I might actually own Mario 64.
There's one.
I'll take that under advisement, O'Dell, and I appreciate that.
There's one point in Mario 64 where every time I play it, I'm like, this game is great, and then I get to it, and I'm like, this game isn't as good as I remember it being. And it's when you get to Shifting Sandland. I don't know what it is about that level, but like some of the later stars in it, like I just die in the worst ways because like I guess I'm just not that good at that game anymore. I don't know what it is. But, like, I'll die in some, like, bullshit way, and I'm like, oh, my God! Like, I hate this thing so much. It's that, and then that rainbow, whatever the rainbow robe one is towards the end. That one's always a struggle.
Maybe I need to do that. Because I did put up that Twitter poll where I was like, yo, I've never played a Resident Evil game. Shall I play Resident Evil?
I don't think you'll
2
get
remake?
through Resident Evil.
You
Because
don't
I
think I'll
love
do it?
No. I don't think you like have the stones to do it. Like I
Really?
It's legit scary.
I can barely get through Resident
watching
Evil.
it.
Yeah. Like I love horror games. I can barely get through that game.
Resi 2 remake specifically.
Yeah. I haven't
It's
finished
scary.
it.
Like my old roommate loves Resident Evil, and like he loves scary games. Like I will watch him play. Like I watched him play Outlast. That was a mistake, but
I watched my brother-in-law play Outlast.
you were better than me. I was like, I'm having nightmares and stuff. But
It's freaky.
I watched him play Resident Evil 2 remake, and I was like, first of all, that's how you do a remake. That
Yeah.
kudos Capcom, but I digress. And like there was parts of the games where I'm just like, bro, there ain't no way in hell. Like I would have just been like set the controller down and be like, this is where I stop playing the game.
Yeah.
Mr. X is not
that-
scary. He's not the scary part of the game, but everything else literally is.
Okay. Well,
Not
Well,
saying you
X-
shouldn't
like-
play it. I'm just saying don't be surprised if you start to play it and then you're like, I can't do this. Like
I mean, hey, I'm open to it, and maybe I'll have some people cheering me on in the chat. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe I'll have to back out, you know, if it gets too scary. But after that, maybe I'll set it up and maybe we'll do Mario 64. And I bet people would really like to see somebody play Mario 64 for basically the first time.
Yeah.
That would
But
be
you
wild.
never played Mario Galaxy either? That's just a good game.
I
Like
played,
I'm not saying it's game of the year all time, but that's just a solid, 9 out of 10 game right there.
yeah, I mean
I feel like, yeah, didn't I play? I think that's actually why I got that game on
I think you
Switch.
started playing it and then
Man, how far did I get?
I don't think you got very far, but I remember
I think I got to the level where you were a B.
yeah, because you were
That's
I
like
like
the
was like-
second level.
And then
Or
I was like,
second
nah.
world.
as I know, like he didn't get far at all, and he was like, I don't know. I'm like, you're not even like you probably played it for like a half hour. Like
Yeah, and that's how long it was good.
I got every star in that game on Switch and unlock Luigi. Spoiler alert.
All I'm saying is I've met people like you before with certain games, and I'm like, okay,
I've met people like you before.
but they're always like, oh, but I love Dark Souls and I love this and that, and I'm like, bro, you can't come at me with a game that takes 15 hours to get good and be like, you couldn't stomach an hour of another game. It just don't work like that.
Dark Souls
I
is
feel
good.
so justified right now with all of this happening. Like O'Dell going to bat for all my favorite games. You're just like, yeah, I've been dunking on Chris for literally years.
No,
It's true.
'cause people will tell me that. Like, for example, someone will be like, oh, I'm not playing Mario Galaxy, but oh no, you gotta play Nier. After 40 hours, it makes sense. I'm like, bro, what kind of sales pitch is that? What
Now-
kind of like what
I will
is-
tell you, I also bounced off a Nier. So at least
That's
I'm
reasonable,
consistent.
though.
yeah, at least that.
I'm consistent.
Yeah, that's good at
See,
least.
okay,
And
I
Dark
don't want to
Souls
play.
is good from the jump. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Maybe, but I want to say I played Nier when it first came out in 2011, 2012, because I actually played it on stream for Extra Life when I interned at Game Informer. I played OG Nier, like on the Xbox
Oh,
Nier,
wow.
and I was like,
Original Nier, yeah.
yeah, and people were like, yeah, it takes like 15 hours to get good, and I streamed that game for 2 hours and basically progressed through nothing, and I was like, I'm never playing this game. This is stupid.
Yeah.
You can't tell me. And okay, and I say this as a Metal Gear fan. Like as a Metal Gear fan, I feel
Ooh.
like I have a high tolerance of
Ooh.
like, yeah, I'm in it to
All right,
win.
let's see where this is going.
But Nier was like,
O'Dell is
did
coming
not
with
respect my
facts.
time in any way, shape, or form. It was like after 10 hours, you're now in the tutorial area. What? and it doesn't even. Okay, I'm sorry. Me personally, I'm shooting blood out of a book, and I did that for 45 minutes for it to be like, now you're doing something else. Explain to me. I don't. Sure, it makes sense later, but no, like my thing. Okay, people who love Nier, you have to promise me this payoff is orgasmic, like, because I just can't. I can't.
I'm just gonna
Oh,
go ahead and
man.
make a note of that.
The payoff is orgasmic.
And then they're like, oh, but you gotta play like, okay, I may play Replicant, 3.6 whatever Japanese
5-8
studio
over
doesn't care
2
about
days. Yeah.
Yeah, like I may play that one and call it a day because that one seems. But then I also hate playing games where it's like, oh, but that's only part of the story. This is like, so I think I'm just gonna play Replicant. If I'm saying that name wrong, forgive me, and just call it a day. Yeah, and I'm just gonna be like, yeah, because I can't go back to the original because I played the original originally.
Yeah.
It was like, no.
I feel like there's a reason they like haven't. Well, I don't know if they. No, I don't think they are. They haven't ported that game yet, right?
No, one of the new Niers is the remake of that original Nier, right?
Nier Replicant is the remake of the original.
Oh, then what's the one where you're like
Nier
in the
Automata.
Okay, there we go.
That's a sequel, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a prequel.
It's a sequel.
This is so confusing.
Nier Replicant happens in like fantasy time. Nier Automata happens way far, like thousands and thousands of years in the future.
Okay.
Like tens of thousands of years.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I want to play the one with the mech and the girl. And
Automata.
Yeah.
Automata. Yeah, that one. Yeah, because Replicant is that's the and I'm not doing that. I don't care. No.
Yeah.
I remember when Automata came out, I thought it was one thing, and then I played it, and it was a completely different game, and I was like it was so different than what I expected. It just completely took me out of it, and I was like, I'm just not gonna.
This is what a lot of people tried to sell me on. A lot of people were like, "Oh, Nier Automata, it's like 75 games in one," because like the first sequence in the game, like you're like walking around a circle, and it's like a walking simulator, and then you leave and go to no, that's like the third level. The first section is like Ikaruga.
Yeah,
it's like a shoot 'em up. And then it transitions to a side-scrolling like platformer hack and slash,
and it's like a 3D platformer, right?
Yeah, that's like a third-person action game, and
and then it goes to like Devil May Cry.
Yeah,
and then you do like a boss fight, and it's like fixed camera, and then you go up to space, and it's like a walking simulator where you walk around and talk to people. It's like a bunch of stuff, and apparently you have to beat that game like 3 or 4 times to get the whole story. And I'm just like, nah, dude. No.
Or I could play Mario Galaxy for the 5th time and get every star.
Yeah, I mean, now this is where Chris and I differ, because instead of doing that, I'd rather be like, all right, I'm not gonna go back and play something that I've already played. I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna try a new fighting game. I'm gonna learn a new character in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I've been exponentially terrible with that. Like, I will start a new game and get like 3 or 4 hours into it, and I'm like, I'm just not feeling it. And then I'll be like, or I could just play Uncharted again, or I could play The Last of Us again. And like, I play the same like 10 games over and over again.
Or I could create a new PlayStation account and get the platinums in all those games again.
Well, I don't see the problem.
I will say this because people talk about it, and this game it sounds like 1,000 games in one, but respect your time. And the payoff is Orgasmic 13 Sentinels. That's on my playlist because that sounds like, okay, yeah, this sounds artistic in the right way.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't played Nier, so I can't say it's pretentious. But if someone asked me name a pretentious game, that would instantly come.
That's coming up in the lineup for sure.
I feel like there's a lot of and I mean this actually segues perfectly into like the announcement that Platinum made today. I feel like a lot of people hold Platinum up, and I don't really understand it. I've never been super blown away by any of their stuff. I know a lot of people swear by Nier Automata and stuff like that, and a lot of people love Bayonetta.
I've never played a Platinum game that I've been like bonkers over.
Yeah,
and I've probably played 5 or 10 of them. 5 to 10 of them.
5 or 10 of
5
them.
to 10 of them. What I meant to say.
Yeah. But they came out today and they were like, yeah, we're not going to do so many of these tight focused, curated, specifically designed stuff. We're going to be doing way bigger games that are more open-ended or live service or stuff like that. And people are just like, because this is like the one thing that they do.
Yeah.
So
we got that to look forward to in our future.
I mean, maybe I guess. I mean, that's the funny thing about the games industry is there's a lot of super niche things that do extremely well. So
sure, yeah.
Genshin Impact, people love it, and I'm just like, bro, this is a gotcha game in the worst possible way. Why are y'all playing this nonstop?
Yeah. And I say that as somebody who played it.
You had a hot month of that. Where I feel like you were doing dailies and stuff like that in that game.
And I played it a bunch this week, and actually broke my vow to never spend money in this game, and spent money in this game.
How much did you spend?
Gotcha.
I spent too much.
Brian, how much did you spend in Genshin Impact?
I was talking to somebody who was like, you know what I will say is, you should really Ivory Tower up and you know, throw your money, your big time you know, video game media journalist money down from your Ivory Tower and spend on this banner to get this character. I did, and I spent too much, and I got the character and a bunch of other characters. And I'm not gonna say how much, but I'll let you guys guess if you want to.
Let me like this: would it be more than the price of the game if it had a traditional release?
Maybe.
Oh my God,
All
Brian!
Right. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to know.
Wow, I'm so surprised at you.
Yeah,
that's like so out of the norm for you.
It really is. It really is. But I did it, and I don't feel great about it, and I'm probably not gonna play this game anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I would not recommend it. This character's super good. Like, it's like legitimately one of the best characters in the game. But I'm just like, there's a couple of things that I'm finding. You remember the problem that I had with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where I was like, I was playing the game, and then you get to a spot in the story, and then it's like, see you later. No more story missions for you. You got to go do other stuff. And I'm just like, I just want to do the story. Leave me alone. Let me do the story.
Yeah,
and
but if they're constantly
like,
building the story, doesn't that?
With Genshin, you mean?
Yeah.
I
Like
guess
eventually,
so,
it's like
but
Destiny. Like eventually, they're gonna run out. You're gonna run out of story content, and you have to wait for them to make more.
Well, no, but like they're literally like, you're not at a high, like they have the levels of all your individual characters that you like burn books that you pick up from looting chests and stuff.
Right.
You can level them up with, or from like doing combat and completing quests and stuff. And then there's your adventure rank, which is what you need to progress to like get little bonuses and stuff like that. And I got to a point where it was like, you can't do your level adventure rank 25. You got to be 28 to do the next story mission.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just like, that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
The thing is, and it really is, Will, former guest host, Will Berger, said it's just like knockoff Breath of the Wild, you know, which is with gacha mechanics, which is true. And then I said, but Breath of the Wild 2 isn't out yet, and this does kind of give me that sort
Play
of
Phoenix
thing.
Rising.
No, I mean, well, that or I mean, honestly, Pokemon is kind of scratching that itch for me a little bit, just in the openness of it.
Yeah.
You know,
but you already spent your Pokemon money on Genshin Impact characters, so.
Yeah.
But I'm also not going to do this again, and I'm probably going to stop playing because I've got a bunch of other stuff I want to get into.
You're going to do it again.
He's going to do it again.
I just wasn't feeling here's the thing. I hit, and this is so unusual for me. I hit a spot where nothing sounded good. I just hit this spot, and it almost never happens, where I was like, okay, I could play more Halo. That sounds okay, but like, it's not really. It's like when you're really hungry for a meal, but like just nothing sounds good. You know what I mean? So I was just like, I'm just gonna boot up Genshin Impact on my PS5 and just wander around and see what happens. And it was like, I'm going to wander around. I'm going to punch some guys. I'm going to throw some water swords at people. It's fine. And then I was just like, well, you know, I'll do this and this and this. And like a bunch of people I know are super into the game. So I was like, let me see if I can like get it to grab me. If I can like see what everybody is talking about. And I was like, well, maybe if I have like this dope character that everybody loves, maybe like I'll dig it. You know what I mean? Because like these games are definitely designed to be like, yo, this character you do not have is amazing. And once you get them, like things start to click. And like I'd had like, they do a good job of putting the carrot like on the stick for you because you'll get to a place where they'll introduce a new character in the story and then they'll give you a mission where you have them. And then you play as them and you're like, holy crap, this is awesome. This dude has a flaming claymore that he's just swinging around and just slamming into people and it feels great. And then they're like, yoink, you don't have them anymore. Now go spend a bunch of money and get them. And so I was like, well, maybe this will like change the way I feel about the game. Maybe this will like pull me in a little bit. And then I did it, and it's good, but still like it's a team game, and you have to build 4 characters into a team, and they have to get the right equipment, and you have to get the right weapons, and you have to level up the weapons and the equipment.
This sounds like a lot of work that you could just avoid if you just gave them more money.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say this.
True.
Wait, no, hold on. Brian is selling me on this, and now because I don't think I gave it a fair shake. So it's something actually that appeals to my gamer aptitude. How long would you say it took before it started getting good and you saw the payoff and stuff? If I wanted to jump into this, how many hours I have to dump into this?
I mean, honestly, you get into a pretty cool fight very quickly. I think I was only playing it for like 15 or 20 minutes before there's like a huge boss battle.
So you said
against
about
a dragon that happens in the freaking sky, like.
What about how many hours?
No, I'm saying, so at that point it's good, or do I need to like? I really gotta get the team going, the 4 team, and then it's like, yeah, I'm off having an adventure, doing all like the stuff that makes it worth playing.
I mean, I think you get the Breath of the Wild stuff pretty much straight away, because like you start on a beach and then you're like you're immediately in the open world. Like there's no plateau, you don't have to get a hang glider or anything. Mm-hmm. Like you're just like in the area and you're wandering around and you're swimming and you're seeing this sort of stuff. So I think if you jumped in and gave it like maybe a half hour, like you would just know if the basics are what's up. The thing with the team mechanics is that different characters have different elements, and those elements interact. So like if you have an ice character and you have a fire character, you use the ice character's special ability to freeze people, then you switch to the fire character, use the fire ability, and it does those effects interact and it causes melt, which gives you a huge damage bonus. And they just like explode, or you have like a water person and an ice person. There's a lot of stuff that you can do where that's where it interacts.
So how long does it take before it gets good is what I'm asking.
Not that long. If you give it like a solid hour or two, like you'll know.
So longer than you gave those other games you didn't like.
No, I gave it. I played a long time with that Mario game. The thing with that is like I got the Breath of the Wild thing immediately, so that was like, okay, well, let me see more.
I know. I was like, it was going to. I was like, let me get to the point of the point.
Yeah, let me rake you over the coals over this Mario thing.
Yeah. Now, how many hours did you play or have you played of Genshin Impact before you put money into it?
Oh my god!
If you had to guess,
can you see on your PS5?
Yeah, not easily, but you can.
Okay.
Like everything else on PS5.
I can pull it up right now.
Okay, while you're doing it, I'm gonna make a super hot take because you talked about like not being in the mood for things.
Yeah,
I'm convinced that Halo is not a bad game. Halo Infinite specifically is not a bad game. I can make the argument for 4 and 5, but not Infinite. Infinite's a good game.
It is a good game.
I just think, excuse me for using this unquantifiable term, that there isn't any magic left in Halo for me.
We've talked about this a lot.
And I feel like I'm not the only person, but I'm willing to just admit that, where other people I feel like just won't.
Let me counteract, or let me throw something out there for you, and I want to see if you agree, because the three of us have talked about it a lot. I think there's no more magic left in Master Chief. I think you can tell a lot. Similar to Star Wars, there are a lot of stories you can tell in the Halo universe that could be interesting. They just choose not to tell them.
I agree with that, because like I always tell people love talking about everything but Reach, and I damn near would argue Reach is probably the best Halo game. Okay, I'll give it second place. I'll give it second place so you can insert Master Chief story above it, which was Halo 2 or something.
Yeah.
But like, and I'm talking take out multiplayer. I'm not factoring in multiplayer in this equation.
No, just campaign.
That Halo game doesn't even have him in it.
Yeah, like Reach is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm just gonna have to agree with you. Like Star Wars, like Skywalker story is done. Like just It's a galaxy far, far away with billions of people. Pick one.
Yeah, why are we talking about just Tatooine and Luke Skywalker?
Dude,
Yeah, but yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head.
There are three characters I can think of right off the top of my head that are more interesting than Master Chief.
Yeah.
There's Kat, there's George, and then there's
He got two.
Making us look bad, Brian. Making us look bad.
The June. or Emil. Go for it.
That was close.
Pick whichever one you want. But yeah, Kat and George are both really interesting characters.
Yeah.
And like George is like my favorite character in the Halo universe. Like that dude rocks.
Yeah. No, I mean it. But I do agree with you. Like there in that, like, yeah, did I enjoy my time with Halo Infinite? I absolutely did. Like I thought it was a super fun Spider-Man Halo game, you know. But it definitely did not have as much of that wow factor that every other Halo game that I grew up with had.
I think they probably should have stopped after 3.
You can only finish the fight so many times.
Yeah. Do 3, then do Reach, then do ODST, then branch out.
Yeah.
Do a story about Locke, but that's only about Locke and his team.
Yeah.
Do a story about Buck and that Sangheili Spartan person or all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask y'all this because it bothers me to no end, and it doesn't seem to bother anyone else but me. So maybe I'm talking to the wrong people. But I'm sorry, like we're friends with the elites and like the Covenant. Like I think it's so stupid. Like this is the new different Covenant.
Yep.
Forget the Covenant that we were cool with. This is like the one. So I'm like, what?
I brought that back. I brought that up in like every review after Halo 3. It's like Halo 4. It's like, okay, fine. We're fighting the Covenant, and it's like a rogue sect that's like, nah, we don't want to be cool with these guys. I get that. You played that card once, though. You can't do that the next time.
Right.
Like, if you want to have a splinter sect of the Covenant that's like extremists, like that's a thing that you can do. But this is like the 3rd time. We can't do that again.
And also, I'm just like elites aren't cool with brutes. They might as well be like the Bloods and the Crips. It's like
exactly.
I don't what like. Okay, even if you have the rogue section, I'm like, no elite worth his salt and gold will be messing with the elite with the brutes to any capacity. Yeah. Like I'm just like,
it was only the prophets that were able to get them to get along because they like had this religious thing over them.
And now they're all dead.
And then they screwed over the elite, so they were like, "Yo, bro, yeah, like we don't all want to die." And you know, I mean, the humans ain't that bad.
Yeah. Real dumb. Also, like, and not only that,
I get so sad whenever we talk about Halo.
But this also, I feel like this is not the only game that we get like this with, where it's just like
it's definitely one of the worst ones that we do. Though.
Yeah, because people like ignore. Like I bring up again, I brought this point up to so many people, and they're like, well, "What is there not to get?" Like it's the different Covenant.
I mean,
that's whatever. Okay.
That is stupid. That is stupid. The real answer to this question is people didn't like fighting the Prometheans because they were bullet sponges and obnoxious little wasps that just flew around, and everybody hates fighting them, and they're just like, give me my safe old security blanket, which is fighting the elites and the grunts and the jackals and all that sort of stuff. Yep. They just want what they've had before because they don't want something new.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but the Prometheans did kind of suck though. Like not
no,
like I mean, not as an enemy type. I mean that too, but like just everything from a story perspective, it was just
everything about that was bad. Like, and I think that's what's but that's what's frustrating about this whole thing, right? Is like you can create a new enemy type and it still be interesting. It's just the Prometheans weren't, and because it's such a big franchise and it's not even a like too big to fail like it did. Like there are people that have, myself included, huge problems with Halo 5. And there's no other like that is the safest move they could have made was just putting the Covenant back in.
It's a safe move. It's not a good move.
No, but it's like, you know what, make the you know, the 30-year-olds happy that grew up with Halo, you know, like
I will say I thought the idea behind the Prometheans was interesting. They just didn't super stick the landing, and the knights had a bit too much health. Those guys flew around a bit too much. I did really like fighting the dogs, though.
Yeah, they were
I will give them that. It was really satisfying to like headshot them and then they just explode.
Yeah. It's fun. Every like 6 months or so, I like, maybe I should give Halo 5 another try. And then I play it. And I get through that first mission. I'm like, God damn it. And I throw the controller. I'm like, I hate this game.
You know, I will say I am happy Halo Infinite succeeded, because I told people if Halo Infinite fails in any way, shape, or form, that's it.
Yeah.
It's not coming back.
Another one. No.
But now we're going to get this for the foreseeable future.
Spider Halo.
You know, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
and the Paramount Plus series that no one seems happy with.
Yeah.
You know, I say it's probably the best video game, best TV show, visually speaking, so far I've ever seen.
Honestly,
that's that going for it.
The only problem I have with it is the way Cortana looks. I think the elites look incredible. We were talking about this a little bit last week.
Yeah, they look
the elites and like the vehicles and like all the creatures look really, really good.
By the vehicles, do you mean the Chevy Tahoe?
Yeah. No, they have the Covenant dropship in one of the shots. It's pretty quick, but like even that looked pretty good. No, I'm very excited. I'm very excited, like, because if it's good, like, that'll be awesome. But if it sucks, oh my god, we're never gonna hear the end of it. Like,
if it sucks, it's just gonna be one more thing that sucks.
Yeah, it's just one more thing that sucks in the Halo universe.
Oh man,
we need to switch topics. I'm getting sad.
You know, I mean, I just want to make another point for Brian. You know, it's another series that never just had a disappointing entry. It kind of and its most disappointing entry is still highly debated. Mario, 3D Mario specifically.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's good 3D Mario games, and then there's Mario 64 and Mario Odyssey and Mario Galaxy and all those that are not very good.
Whoa! You know what? Moving on. Moving on. For I have to just leave this podcast.
It's not even worth it. He'll never.
I just
change.
do it to do it.
He'll never change.
You're like those new age kids who are like 19, and I'm like, yeah, I really don't like playing Call of Duty. And they're like, what are you playing? Mario. And I'm like,
yeah.
You listen here, you
little bastard.
Yeah.
Listen to me. I was speedrunning Mario 1 before you were born, so shut the hell up. No,
sure,
but that is
honestly that was a real conversation, by the way. I did not make that up.
Oh no, I've definitely had
That's
that conversation.
That's amazing. And the thing with me is like it's not like I have just a bunch of hate in my heart for that stuff. It's just like I feel like not having nostalgia for this stuff, like, and being like very forward focused, I guess. Like, I don't have a lot of patience for stuff that's kind of been figured out, if that makes sense. And like, I think
it just doesn't interest you.
I guess so. There is like the part of me that's like, from like an amateur gaming historian who just wants to be like aware of things and that sort of stuff, where it's just like, hey, maybe I should play Grand Theft Auto 5, even though I didn't like it. Like, maybe I should try to get through it just so I like know what it is. You know what I mean? Or like Red Dead, things like that. Like, where it's just like, Mario 64 is undoubtedly extremely important to gaming. So there's a part of me that's like, don't I kind of owe it to myself to like at least make a sincere, concerted effort to try to get through it? Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, when the DS first came out, they had Mario 64 DS.
Yeah.
And I did play a lot of that. I just don't remember any of it.
It was garbage. I'll just let you know now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did the whole, you could be Yoshi, Wario, and Luigi, and like, it was different, but in the wrong direction.
Well, it was also, it's just hard to play that game with a D-pad.
that is also true.
Yeah, you just need an analog stick for it. I mean, I got through it, but at what cost?
I have no idea how long I played that. Like, I literally, it's just a vacuum. I have no idea.
I mean, it was so long ago. Like,
it was.
Yeah.
But there is a thing like that where people are just like, you look on Metacritic right now, like Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Galaxy 2 are like some of the highest rated games ever.
Fact.
Like, they're like 97s and 98s, which is like unheard of.
And you're like, eh.
And I'm like, you know. But
Yeah,
like, there's a part of me that's like Skyward Sword, I should try that game. Like Mario Galaxy, I should try that game. You know what I mean? Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. It's like,
no, Skyward Sword just isn't that good of a game. Like, just because it's on the Wii doesn't by default. Yeah, it is important story wise, but just because it's on the Wii doesn't by default make it a bad game. Excite Truck rips ass. Wii Sports rips ass. There are very good games on the Wii.
Bro, I forgot Excite Truck existed.
And then there was Excite Bots.
Bad to say about it. It's just like, damn, like I went back like 20 years. It's like, oh my god,
time travel.
Shit.
Yeah, man.
How old am I?
we're getting old. But yeah. So like, there's like that part of me where it's just like, man, like everybody loves this. Like, I should try to find that love for this thing within myself. And then I get in there and I'm just like, I've been spoiled by PS4 and PS5 and all this stuff that we've got now, where it's just like Super Mario 3D World, in and out. Get in that level, get in, get to the flag or whatever, get out, you're done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's difficult. But out of respect for you, O'Dell, I will try again. And for Chris as well. I do respect Chris as well.
No,
I get to take dumps on Chris every week on this show, which is great.
I will talk about this because I'm about to get philosophical for a second, and this is going to tie into other things and probably spur another conversation. So we were talking about in one of our Discord channels about how some games are more worried about being movies than they are games, or some games are worried about being so many different things that they lose the core component of being a game. Providing that experience that you can't get anywhere else but games. And what I think is important about these games and the other games that people, hold so highly is they get that. At their core, they're good because they understand what it is to be a good game and be that. And that's why I feel like things like Mario 64 are important, because if you can understand and eventually play through it, of course, you get that point and, you reach a point where you're like, this is great because it understood something that nothing else around it did at the time. And I feel like Mario 64 still holds up to a lot of people because, even with the bad, there's so much enjoyment out of it being a game. This is like, The Last of Us is something you can experience, thematically, and so is Uncharted. There's game aspects of it, but The Last of Us, we like it for the story, the production, the yada yada yada. Yeah. And gameplay is something that enhances the experience, but you could probably The Last of Us, you could probably get the same exact amount of utility out of it watching a full playthrough. Like, that's not a game you necessarily have to play for it to be a quote-unquote masterpiece.
Yeah, like there aren't at least the first one, there aren't a ton of moments in the gameplay of it that it's like, you don't feel this unless you're playing it. Like, you could watch
it. Still looks tense cinematically.
No, it does.
You're watching somebody sneak through, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, like, I think unless you're really into, like, stealth games like that, but I get what you're saying. It's like, I could show my dad The Last of Us on YouTube, and, like, he could probably pretty much get the gist of, like, what I'm experiencing playing it.
Yeah, he can feel the same highs and lows that you did.
Right.
And because all the story beats are so, like, the story beats, like, everything that's important that's happening in the story in this game that is so much about story, those are all like cinematics. Like, they take all of that out of your hands.
Basically. Like, there are definitely moments.
Didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, there's definitely moments throughout that game and Uncharted where, like, while you're playing and there's dialogue happening and things like that, you're missing out on that if you're just strictly watching cutscenes. But, like, even if you're watching somebody doing that, like, you're getting just about the same amount out of it, plot-wise at least.
Yeah, and then you have games where I feel like you get the best of both worlds, and I think a good example is Final Fantasy VII Remake, because the game feels as good as it looks.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a game,
one of the best feeling games I've ever played.
Yeah, but also if you think about it, because people hate this, because if you think about Final Fantasy 13, one of the number one gripes was it's way too linear. I hate this game. It's linear. All you just walk in a straight line. Final Fantasy VII Remake is also extremely linear.
Yeah.
Like very minimal chances to explore. There are certain sections, but they're few and far between. But Final Fantasy VII understands what it is to be a good game. And as long as you have that, everything else just falls into place. And so what I think is important about people playing these games, especially like developers now who never went there, like you got to understand what makes a game before you make it a good cinematic, you make it a good story and stuff. Because without that, we're just basically doing interactive movie. We're not back in the days of quick time
events.
the game.
Yeah.
But so and that's why I feel they're important to me, because even something like Metal Gear, that's extremely, you watch it as much as you play it, but there's certain aspects of Metal Gear. That's why I think Kojima's a genius, that I can only experience this because it is a game,
right?
Versus something like your Uncharted or The Last of Us, or okay, another good example is like Sinuous Hellblade. I can only experience this because it is a game.
Yeah.
And I feel like, when the reason why certain games do so well is because, like, last year we had so many platformers and people were like, how is this, this genre so, why is It Takes Two, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank? Because platformers fundamentally at their core have to be good at being a game to even be enjoyed to begin with.
It's very easy to make a bad platformer, but like if you make one that understands what it is, it has a like vision of itself and really nails it, and goes for it, you really can't, like, you just get it, like when you're playing it, like you just feel that way. I mean, it's honestly the main reason why I'm so obsessed with Banjo-Kazooie. Like it leans so hard into what it is and how weird it is, and it like doesn't hold anything back. And it's just I have a bunch of different phrases for certain types of video games. So like Assassin's Creed is like a game that's up its own ass, is like how I always describe it. And like most people, when they hear it, they're like, I get what you mean by that. It's just like, it thinks so highly of itself, and
it's
like
up its own Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. But like, Banjo-Kazooie or Mario Odyssey, like they're these games that like they're just video games. Like they are just so themselves, and they do such a great job at it.
I mean, we also call them something else on this show.
What, that they rip ass?
That they're Chris Shriver baby games.
Oh, they're Chris Shriver baby games. Yeah, they absolutely are. But like, there's also, I don't know, like some of them are. I definitely play my fair share of baby games. Probably less now than I did a couple years ago. But
Nickelodeon's Ultimate Call All-Stars.
Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl or Nickelodeon Grand Prix 2 or whatever the hell that was called.
But I was going to say, like, that thing that you were saying about like platformers needing to be good, and like that being something you like about Banjo-Kazooie, that was something that like I hadn't experienced in ages.
Yeah.
Until I played Psychonauts 2.
Yeah.
Because like I never played the original. But like that is a great example of what you're talking about, because that game is extremely its own thing. It's extremely like weird, and it does a lot of stuff that like on paper, if you listed all of the things that this is, it's a kind of I guess it's not really a mascot platformer, but it's like that type of like 3D
that type of 3D platforming game
type of thing. 3D platformers, red flag on my list. Like there's a bunch of stuff on like if you went down the bullet point back of the box list of the things that Psychonauts 2 is, there are like 5 or 6 huge red flags for me personally. And then I play it and I'm like, wow, this game is so full of character, and it's so creative, and it's so weird. And it's like not incredible, but it's still so good.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't, like I was like, Psychonauts 2 Game of the Year, are you serious? Like, and then I played it and I was like, I get it. It is just fun. It is just a game. And with so many experiences, and it's specifically like what we were talking about last year with Sony talking about, we're going all cinematic all the time. We're going big into these AAA super Omega level blockbuster things. And that's all we're going to do. And it's that or bust. Then I'm like, okay, that is like a choice. And then on the other side, you've got Psychonauts 2 that's just like, I'm just here to be a game and try to make you happy.
Yeah.
And that is something that only this can do. Like, you don't have, like, there's not, I don't know. You can go to movies that are comedies that, like, are there to make you feel good and stuff, but it's like a different thing to have it in your hands and feel it. And I think that's a reason why, you know, after Pokemon, which Pokemon is another, like, Pokemon is like the #1 recognized IP in the world, like in any medium. And Mario's like not far behind that, I don't think.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. There's a reason that Nintendo is held up on these huge pedestals, even though they make really garbage hardware and they make backwards decisions on almost everything. It's because at the end of the day, they are toy makers, they are game makers, and they are here to like just make you experience some joy. And I mean, I gotta give them that.
I mean, yeah,
it's their quality. It's no one else could do this and succeed without Nintendo. It's because at the end of the day, they truly care about their product. Yes, they make backwards decisions. We can't defend it, but it's just like okay, let me put it like this. After playing Pokemon Legends and seeing how hard it struggles at times, it is a goddamn miracle that Breath of the Wild is as good as it is on the Switch.
Yeah, it really is.
Jeez. I know it's not rendering Pokemon all the time, but still.
No, but like, and what's weird about it is like, it has to be the same engine because there are even the way like dialogue pops up or like you pick up an item and like not the sound effects specifically that it makes, but like the way that like the UI is laid out that when you do pick up things in the world, like it is very obviously like built from that same framework of like, yes, Breath of the Wild like started all of this or made this game even possible, but the fact that it runs as bad as it does, like I don't get it. And like and not to turn this into a different thing, but like it does make me a little bit worried about Breath of the Wild too. And
Switch 2 better be here. That's
end
all be all.
I don't think it's gonna be.
I think it's gonna
it's
not going to be, but Jesus,
situation.
I don't know, man. but you know, the keep it focused, Brian. But yeah, like that's what I'm saying, and I think, you know, when I hit gamer fatigue, like, cause sometimes years that people are like, these are the best games ever. I'm sorry, that's not always true every year.
Yeah,
good games come out every year. Yes, some great games come out, you know, every year. Maybe not as, you know, as much as any other years, but not every year is not the best year in gaming. You know, we have our 2017s and stuff, but
we have our, like, to be perfectly honest, we have our 2021s. There wasn't anything on the Game of the Year list that entered the echelon of like a greatest of all time thing for me, I don't think.
No, but I think everybody played something last year that like they were like, no, that was really good. It wasn't like, I'm gonna get a tattoo of this game.
There were tons of great games. Like Unpacking is great, Forgotten City is great, like Inscription is great, but like it's like, you know, am I gonna put that up against Super Metroid? No.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Am I gonna put Metroid Dread up there against, you know, against Baldur's Gate 2? No, I'm not. Like, but
I make that point to say, but when you look at the really great games and when you look at the really great years, you know, where one game doesn't dominate and where it's like, you know, it comes back to that fundamental belief that you have to understand what gaming is. And I feel like, yes, we've kind of gotten away from that because, you know, just how things go, you know, popularity, money and stuff. But, you know, Psychonauts 2 and other games prove, you know, even, you know, a game like Metroid Dread that came out of nowhere, the new one's coming, that, you know, it still comes down to that gaming is so unique in a way, again, like, under like that, no matter what the game looks like, no matter how advanced or not it is, that single framework of understanding a game can never be, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Overestimated or something. You know, you can't underestimate. There we go. You can't underestimate how good of a quality that is, because time and time again it proves. I think last year proved it a lot, because everyone, like you said, was like, why are these, you know, the best games of the year? Because more or less all these games understood what being a game was.
Yeah.
And to the point, like Halo, I think you said right, like Halo understands itself. It's just that, like you said, the magic with Master Chief is just kind of not there anymore. They need to reevaluate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which,
I mean, I don't have a Psych 3, but I took Psych 101, you know.
Yeah. I would love for I think one of the biggest missed opportunities that they had with this, and then we can totally move on from this. One of the biggest missed opportunities that they had with Halo Infinite is they set it up beginning with, we have an entire ship full of Spartans. You could have made any one of them awesome characters, and instead they're relegated entirely into the audio logs, or
and you're finding their dead corpses.
I was just about to say, I guess spoilers for Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Or you're finding their dead bodies and their equipment around the world.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like at the end, I think there's like one guy who like put an audio log out and is like, I'm going up spin away from the Banished, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So like one dude got away, and then there's Chief, and it's like, and we know that blue team is somewhere else, but it's like, they're not gonna, I don't know.
Okay. I got you only because you brought this up. I've never liked that Chief is made out to be like a godlike character, because based off what we know, he's an everyman Spartan. So
I actually didn't I literally talk about this last episode.
Yeah, and I get like he's the everyman, but I'm like, no, it makes it so unrealistic for me to be like, average Joe just putting the world on his back for the umpteenth time and just.
Well, I think part of that problem comes from, and correct me if I'm wrong, because there's a very good chance what I'm about to say is going to be, but like when Combat Evolve and 2 came out, like he was the only Spartan left, right? Like I'm not misremembering that. I don't think.
Yeah, I think that was the understanding.
Yeah, and then I think in 3 that was still the understanding. And then all of a sudden,
in 4, it's like they've been here the whole time.
Yeah, like all of a sudden they've got Spartans coming out the wazoo, and it was like,
snowboarding on jackals and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I have not read all of the books and stuff like that. My understanding was he's like the only one left. And then with Halo 4, the reason why there were a bunch of those Spartans was they started the program up again.
No, yeah.
So he was the last Spartan 2.
Right.
Which is those were the strongest ones.
Okay.
And the
Isn't
fewest
his blue
of those
team Spartan 2s?
Yes. And he's the weakest.
All right, but no.
The thing with him is he's lucky, but there's other people, like Linda's faster than him, Fred is stronger than him. Like the other members of those are all like they're more competent in battle than he is.
But when did blue team?
He has the greatest gift of all, leadership.
Yeah. Like when did blue team become?
No, he's not even the leader of blue team. I think Fred's the leader of blue team.
Halo.
He's just.
I'm out. I don't even care no more.
Yeah. The thing that they said, and this is what they said in Halo 3, which I think is an interesting wrinkle. I will give them this. Is the thing with Master Chief is he's just lucky. He just happens to be at the right place at the right time all of these times, which is why he's like the dude. Is just because like they were all off world or something, and he was there when shit was going down, so he was able to fight and fix it.
You know what? I just figured out how we fix Halo. What has the Arbiter and those people been doing? Make a game about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Make a game about the Arbiter. We were literally talking about this. I'm like, dude, if they incorporate co-op and we can play as the Arbiter, hell yeah.
You know what would happen
Arbiter's
though
great,
if
dude.
they did that?
Keith David, come on.
Everyone would be like, everyone that doesn't like Halo 2 would be like, oh my god, we're gonna play as the Arbiter again. Oh, like it'd turn into that whole conversation again.
When really,
there's no good answer. Is the problem.
Halo 2 is literally one of the it's definitely top 3. Definitely top 3. Because Gravemind is dope. The Arbiter is dope. Come on.
This is not your grave.
Hey, that was pretty good, both of y'all.
That was pretty good.
Kudos.
Yeah, thank you.
I am a monument to all your sins.
He was a cool character.
He was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And he has the best name ever.
Yeah.
So cool. Anyway, let's stop talking about Halo and Pokemon and Nintendo and Mario. And we actually talked about a lot of stuff.
We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Man. We can talk about Jett the Far Shore. We can talk about we can talk about Inscription.
You've been talking about Jett the Far Shore for like a month and a half.
I know.
I'm very curious as to what.
All right. How about this? What is it? I have no idea what that is.
I've heard people talk about it forever.
Okay,
and
so
I don't know what it is.
I've been talking about it for like a month and a half because we keep having special episodes, and we keep having super crammed episodes with super megaton news, like a ton of acquisitions, and we have a bunch of guests on, and we just don't get to it.
Yeah.
So Jett the Far Shore is a game for PS5. It's also available on Epic Games. This is a game that I was sent from our buddies over at Pop Agenda. It's a really interesting game that has a very cool premise that unfortunately did not click with me. But I want to talk through it a bit. Because there was a lot of promise in what I saw here, and I am really curious at what the team gets up to next. So basically what it is it's like a contemplative, thought-provoking version of like Wave Race meets Star Fox. Chris's eyes just went open.
You have my attention.
So the thing for me is like I think it's maybe a bit too slow for its own good, because it is not like Star Fox. It is mechanically, but like not at the speed.
Star Fox Adventures or Star Fox 64?
Star Fox 64.
Oh, okay. I'm out.
But like, I like the gameplay, but it's it's empty on purpose, like from a story standpoint, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to create this like stark, desperate atmosphere that really works, because like the idea, the game starts off and you're in your village, right? And everybody is around your village, and everybody's wearing like these ponchos and these like, big weird half coconut looking hats. And everybody's super sad, and you go in to the seer, and they're like, "Hey, what? Are you looking this up?"
There's a headline from VG. VG 24/7. Jett the Far Shore review impressions. This game really doesn't want me to like it.
Yeah, I mean it's basically what happens is you start off in your village, and they're like, all right, we're all going to be on this planet, and we're all doomed, and you're going to leave and lead this like group of cosmonauts, and you're going to go out into space and search for this like signal transmission that we've found, and you're going to find like a new planet, and this is going to be how we're going to survive, because like we're all doomed here or whatever. So it's like super bleak. And like the first thing you do in this game is like say goodbye to your parents, and you're never going to see them again. And then you go get in your ship, and then you're like doing these like kind of skipping things, and you're flying, and you're opening up your thrusters, and you're trying not to overheat, and you're navigating around these boats and stuff through the water. And like, it's beautiful. It's very minimalistic and this sort of stuff. Like it's the colors are very muted. And you get to the end, and there's this huge gathering of everybody on this planet. And then you fire up, and it's like 1 day, 2 day, 3 days. And then it just keeps going until it's like you've been gone for like 50,000 years or something as you're flying across the universe. And the music is really atmospheric and interesting. When your ship breaks down on the second mission, and it drags everything to an absolute halt. And then you have to go a really long ways at a really slow speed to get the stuff to repair your ship. And then there's this whole element where like there's the light from the moon on this planet, and if it hits you, it like drains your batteries and like is a whole problem. So you have to hide in the shade, and it's like the light is like shining around, so you have to hide behind rocks and wait for your shield to go back up.
None of this sounds very fun, and it sounds very stressful.
It kind of is, but like that's kind of the point, because this is supposed to be like a kind of existentially,
it's like a survival game,
dreadful thing. Not really.
Does it end with y'all failing the mission and everybody dying?
I mean, it didn't, because I literally like quit playing the game after this, because I got stuck in the world like a couple of times. Like it was one of those things where it was like I was trying to. You've got this thing called pop, where like you hit the A button or whatever button, I forget. And like you'll hold it, and it'll basically like launch you up in the air, and you can use that to like, there's also like elements of like environmental research, where it's like you'll go towards something and you'll like scan it, and it'll like, it's like Pokedex stuff, but for environmental things, where it's like, I'm going to scan this in the environment, and oh, here's a plant. Oh, we might be able to use this for fuel. oh, we might be able to use this, and like you'll go past a geyser and pop it, and then it'll instantly cool down your engines, so you can like boost really hard and then pop near a geyser, and it'll let you keep boosting and stuff. There's like elements of that where you're like juggling your kind of pseudo resources that would otherwise recharge. It just is like a way to like keep moving if you want to go fast. But it's kind of it was almost a really like serene, calming experience, but it's like it's too tedious for that. But
It sounds
also
like
not like
a less fun and more stressful No Man's Sky. Maybe not more stressful, because No Man's Sky can get pretty rough.
I was gonna sound like it sounded like it wanted to be a game that already succeeded at this, and it's called, Outlands, Wildlands, crap. Outer Wilds.
Outer Wilds. There you go.
Yeah. I think mechanically, I don't like the controls in Outer Wilds. That is another game that I'm gonna give another shot to, just because like I don't like the way that it's like you control your momentum with the thrusters and this sort of things, and you got to like really feather it to do all that. But this is like more arcadey, but I feel like it hamstrings itself too much when it like tries to embrace kind of it's tricky because it is fun, but there's too many like little things. It's definitely a death by 1,000 cuts situation.
Yeah, it sounds like it is. Like like they have a lot of ideas, but none of them are particularly good. And
I honestly think that a lot of these ideas are good. They're just not able to live up to their potential because of something else that's in it.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. It's like the things are not working together cohesively. They're kind of like it's kind of less than the sum of its parts because they're working against each other.
Right.
Gotcha.
So like it's really fun like when you get moving and you're like when you in the first mission when it's like, hey, there's like a ramp and you can like pop at the right point to like really launch over the ship, and it's like, this is awesome, like this is really fun, and like you just put your boosters on and it like automatically keeps you going at a really good clip, and then you just have to manage whether you're like really boosting or not, or cooling off, or doing your pop thing to like hit a balloon and like explode that for like some resource or whatever. Like that part of it is fun, but then it's like it like slows you down. It's like, oh, what was that? What was that game? Oh, like what people say about Sonic, where it's like Sonic is great, but Sonic the game doesn't actually want you to go fast. It wants you to stop and like do stuff, but like theoretically it should be a game about wanting to go fast. And
because
it's kind of
Sonic goes fast.
Because Sonic goes fast. But if Sonic goes fast, then it should just be the loop-de-loops, and they shouldn't try to stop you with a bunch of spikes and shit.
Right.
Basically, is what I'm getting at. So Jett the Far Shore is the new Sonic, is what I'm saying.
All right, so I guess after hearing all that, I only have one real question.
Sure.
How many hours did you put into this game before it got good?
2 levels. Actually, I wanted to bring this up. I looked up Genshin Impact. I played this game for 38 hours before I spent money in it.
That's pretty good.
Oh. Yeah, it's not bad. I thought it's not the hundreds of hours people claim they're playing.
Yeah. Well, I mean considering
and I never got into it to that extent.
I mean, I paid $60 for a game that I played for significantly less than that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I can't believe you spent money.
I spent more than $60.
Oh.
A bit more.
How'd you explain that to your wife?
Does Audrey know?
You know what the funny thing about that is? I wouldn't have done it except we were talking about the Steam Deck thing recently.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I don't have enough save for the Steam Deck.
Well, no, hold on. Originally, you said I can't get Pokemon Arceus because I need to save money for Horizon and the Steam Deck.
Yes, I did say that.
Right.
I did say that. And then I brought it up to her, and I was like, yeah, I've only got this amount of cash in my fun money. And she's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You have more than that. And I'm like, no, hold on. Like, I literally just checked it earlier today. And she's like, yeah, but I also got paid today. And so I like went and looked in it, and I was like, and so I like moved all that stuff over. My Steam Deck's covered. Like, I'm good. And I had like a pretty hefty chunk of change aside from that. So I was like, oh, I'm totally good. If I wanted to do that this one time and just like kind of see what it was, it's like not a big deal.
Look at this money burning a hole in my pocket.
But it was one of those things where it was like I was curious. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure, I get it.
And it's
Hey, as someone who gave money to Pokemon Go, and I played a lot of Pokemon Go, I get it.
Brian, if you win the lottery, give me one of the yachts because 5 is too many.
Absolutely, dude.
The dock only lets you have 4.
You can use this as legally binding thing. If I win the lottery, I'm giving O'Dell some.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, cool.
Because he asked. You know what?
Yes.
You have not because you asked not, and O'Dell asked. So there you go. But yeah, it was such a bummer. I actually had this note from, and this is one of the things, like, because I got this later in the year, but like I played it before the end of the year, but we just had special episode after special episode. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I just couldn't get to it. I really think that this is a bummer and a missed opportunity because this was different, very different from anything I played in 2021.
Yeah.
Like, this is a really cool thing. And it really bummed me out when I was like, because I got stuck several times. There is a thing where you can like get yourself unstuck in the game, and when people put that in the game, it's like very obvious that like this is a problem and we can't really fix it. So here's like kind of a solution that we have. But I had to use that like 2 or 3 times just in that second level. And it was getting tedious because they wanted me to go around and like scan all this stuff, and they wanted me to hide from this like red moon. And like I liked the story and I liked where it was going, but just the mechanics of it they were just getting in my way. Too much, which is like such a bummer because this was one of those games like Psychonauts 2 where I'm like, this is different from anything else I'm playing. I really want to play this. And it just got to the point where I was not having fun
if you have to
it.
fight it more than you get to enjoy it, then it really does. It sours the experience.
Yeah, it's a bummer. But for people out there, like if that sounds interesting to you, like I'm sure it goes on sale. You know, it's on PS5.
Oh, that'll be a PlayStation Plus game before the end of the year.
Probably. I'm kind of surprised that wasn't already. But
yeah.
You know, the thing about these experiences in games are, I feel like, because I can watch a movie or a TV series that wastes my time. I mean, movie easier so because it's just like it's 2 hours and you know, but like games ask so much of my time that I feel betrayed and hurt when there is no payoff. It doesn't have to be orgasmic in this sense, but this game sounds like there's no payoff.
I mean, at least
like when the game like fizzles out.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, I grant it, but for example, what I'm about to say is, when a game asks you to deal with its frustrations, that's not intentional. You know, these are just mechanical things. A game has to be some type of good. For example, I will always say that Cyberpunk 2077 is a good game that was bogged down by unfortunate circumstances. But it was good enough for me to push through those things and to ultimately say it was worth it. You know, I shouldn't have to deal with some of the things, the way it crashed or some of the bugs. You know, I had the PS4 version running on PS5, so it wasn't too bad for me. You know, now it's better and stuff. But a game like that makes me feel like, though, even though I know it's good and I see what it's going for, when it reaches a certain level, it's like, but will this be worth it? If I am choosing to put up with your frustrations, did you actually create something that would be worth it for me in the end?
Yeah.
It's something that how I weigh games.
And
unless you're near, then it's just like, I don't know what this is, bro. Get out of here.
Yeah. Or like you were talking about earlier, like Final Fantasy 13, like famously, it gets good and the tutorials end around 40 to 50 hours in. It's like, get the fuck out. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But that's like, I don't know whether it's Game Pass or whether it is, I don't play on PlayStation primarily anymore. I play on PC now. So like, I don't have this like urge to get all the trophies like I used to. Like when Chris and I first met, I was like deep in the throes of my like trophy addiction.
Yeah.
Like I was like playing a bunch of games that I didn't even like on Vita. Like, and some that I did, like when we met, I was playing Hitman Go. That game rips. Like that game is amazing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these games are like super, super good, but I was also playing stuff like Monster Bag and like stuff that like I just didn't.
Taco Master.
Didn't matter. My Name is Mayo.
My Name is Mayo. Yeah.
Like just stupid stuff. And I don't know whether it's overcorrecting from that time or getting used to stuff like Game Pass where I can dip in and dip out. But my tolerance level for nonsense is like almost gone.
Yeah.
Like I feel that.
I think part of it too is we have.
I mean, I'm also older now, so I have a kid, so like maybe I respect my own time more, and I demand that of other people.
Yeah, I think it's a few things. I think it's like the bullshit threshold is so much thinner now as an adult that I don't have. It's not like I can't say that so much now. Like when I was at my previous job, I really didn't have a lot of time to play games, and like this new one, I definitely have more. But I definitely am the same way, where it's like if I'm getting into something, if I'm not hooked in that first like 2 or 3 hours, it's like it's probably not gonna. It's not looking good. For it to maintain my attention. But we've also we've been doing this for like 5 years or more at this point.
The show?
Yeah, the show. Like we've become very critical, and we've played enough. We've stepped out of our comfort zone enough to be able, at least I feel this way, I can look at a game and be like, I will not like that game. And just know. Like I don't need to give it the time of day because I know I'm not going to enjoy something.
You know what's interesting? And I don't know, tell me, Chris, if I've talked about this on the show before. And feel free to jump in, O'Dell, because I'm really curious to know what you think because I haven't talked to you for the past 5 years every week for several hours. And I'm just really getting sick of this guy. But one of the things that I have learned about myself is I've learned to trust myself more.
Yeah.
Because in previous years, and this was and Chris knows this, I made a concerted effort going into specifically the Nintendo Switch. When I got the Nintendo Switch, at that point I was like, all right, I'm going to make a concerted effort to try a bunch of like popular stuff that I'd never tried before. So like New Horizons, my first Animal Crossing game ever. Like I'd never played Animal Crossing before. I never really knew anybody who played them, but everybody at IGN was getting into it. The turnip gatherings were wild.
I mean, you enjoyed it. It seemed like you enjoyed your time with New Horizons.
Oh yeah, I played tons of time with that. When they came out with the Easter DLC, that
ruined it for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, I was out. And I never went back, which is a bummer.
Yep.
Because I did have fun with that, and that was like a cool communal experience. But a lot of the stuff that I didn't play throughout the years, a lot of the stuff that I just like passed on, whether it was, I mean, like, what would it have been? Like, I went back and played some of these older games when they either came back with like a remaster or something like this. I would go back and try them, and I would be like, you know what? Like, I was right to not really want to play this.
Yeah.
And I just kind of learned that like I instinctively avoided a lot of stuff that just didn't really speak to me. And it wasn't necessarily that like I had this huge blind spot that was just chock full of games that I loved. It was more like, oh no, my brain was taking care of me. My brain was like, you don't need to think about that, dude. You can think about this other thing. You can get into this other thing. And going back and trying so many of these older games that are so beloved by so many people and being like, I don't get it. For most of them, it's not true for all of them. Like I played Half-Life and I haven't beaten it yet because when I played Black Mesa, the last level wasn't done yet. I have it downloaded and I'm going to do it soon. But when I played through that, I was like, oh, Half-Life is pretty good. It's definitely not at the level where people hold it. Maybe it was at the time.
It was at the time, but
sure.
It's funny. Half-Life's pretty good. It's just not a sentence you hear that often.
You know what I mean? But like
it's a very much if you didn't play it when it came out, everything's already done what it did. So it's like your Mario 64.
Yeah.
Before that, no one got 3D right. It was the first game to do it.
Yeah.
But you've already played hundreds of games that got 3D right.
That looked at Half-Life and went, we need to do that, but better.
Yeah. But the difference is that, and I feel like what you guys are just saying is like super important because a lot of times when I go back, I feel that powerfully.
Yeah.
I feel, oh, I've played games that do this way better. Even though this was the first one, that doesn't mean that it's still good and it kind of falls to pieces or like turns to ash in my mouth.
Yeah.
But for certain games, like Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Half-Life, you go back and it's like the foundation is there and it's so strong that even though other things have gone on to improve on that sort of stuff, I know a lot of people prefer Metroid Dread over Super Metroid. I don't, but that's just me. But I get the argument. Like moving around Dread feels better. The sticking points that are sticking points for me are in Dread and not in Super Metroid. But for these games, going back to them, they nailed the game part of it. And I guess this is like looping around to that. They know what it is to be a good game. Half-Life is a good game. It might not blow people away, but it's still good. It's still good, even though other things have improved upon it.
Yeah, and I guess so here I say, so I consider myself, I don't want to say true gamer, an avid, passionate gamer. Like gaming to me is something more, it transcends being a hobby to me.
Yeah.
And so to your point, like I don't like roguelikes. I fundamentally do not like roguelikes.
Yeah.
I despise them. If you're an indie roguelike, good luck getting me to play it. But I play like Hades. I'll play stuff that
Dude.
And Hades was cool. It was good enough because it got me in the game to where even though I didn't like this genre, I can push through it because it's interesting enough. The conversations are interesting. The gameplay is actually fun, and not because I feel like most roguelikes are bastardized versions of good games. It's like, oh, it got good, and now you're back to the part where it's bad, and you may get back to where it's kind of good again. Who knows? But Hades just kind of feels good continually.
Yeah,
I don't have to start a new run and be like, well, I guess I got to get through like 15 levels before I start having fun again. But I digress. But so I think so. There's two areas of gaming for me. There's games that like I naturally like and love, just genre or just feel wise. But then there's games that like I feel like I have to play for fundamental reasons. Like for example, when Mass Effect came out, the trilogy, I never played Mass Effect the first time, but I knew, hate it or love it, Mass Effect did something at its time that if did not happen, we might not have the games we have today. So when I played through Mass Effect 1, it was hard. It was hard. Like I was like, damn. But I got to the end and I saw it. I saw all the things that it did. And then I thoroughly enjoyed Mass Effect 2 and 3. Playing 1, I could probably,
I think most people feel that way about that game. Or those games.
I never played the first one. I only played 2 and 3. And I've been eyeing the Legendary Collection on Game Pass. And I'm just like, I don't know, man.
I say it's worth it. Ultimately, I say it's worth it, just to get through it once. But then, like I said, but that pushes me. Like I will play through a game that maybe didn't age well, or maybe it's possibly on the bad side of things. If its historical importance to gaming is worth it, because I feel like it's a weird appreciation you get when you play certain old games or games that are the reason these games exist. Because it's like it's like you're saying you got to know where you're from to know where you're going.
Right.
No,
it's like it's almost like I wouldn't want to go through my parents' hardship, but now that I know and seen it, it gives me an outlook who they are now and who I am. And that's kind of how I view games. Like there's certain games I feel like okay, you don't have to go back and play GoldenEye to understand an FPS, right? Like no, I'm not saying that, but there's something about playing Halo 1, specifically Halo 2, that if you're a genre of FPSs and you've never played Halo 2, even if you're not really into Master Chief, you just kind of should. Because you not only do you get appreciation for what you have now, sometimes you see things that game did that no one has still been able to replicate.
Yeah.
Like for example, Mario 64 has better physics. No. This is actual a true not point thing. Mario 64 has better physics than some games have now.
Yeah.
Still, like regardless of what it looks like, how that game, the weight of Mario, your ability to judge jumping distance, and it does that better than some games. And it's like you have to look at you're like, and why is that possible? Why, and then I figure once you play certain games, regardless if they're good or not to you personally, it just gives you an appreciation for what you have now in the way that you couldn't have before. And I feel that's their true importance. So that's why I try to play games that I've missed. If it reaches a certain level. Like Demon Souls, like I played enough. It's not my type of game, but I played enough, especially with Bloodborne. I played like a good quarter of that game, and I was like, I understand now.
Yep.
I have this understanding. I'm not gonna put the time in it to get good, just because it's not a game that I personally want to do that in.
Yeah,
You know,
those
but you can get it.
Those are mine.
But you can get it, and you can respect why people like it. Like at least that's how I am with it. Like when I played Demon Souls on PS5, I think I finished or beat the first boss, got to the second section, and like, you know, had so many souls or whatever the hell you collect in that game, and then got killed by like a dog coming around of a random corner, and I was like, no, I'm not. I get it. Like I get what this game wants me to feel right now, and I don't like it, and I respect anybody that is into like, oh, but now I know that that's there, and like is ready to take the plunge. And
because you specifically said that, I have to ask you, what do you think the game was trying to get you to feel there?
Like a bag of dog shit.
So that's no, actually not. The true. I'm gonna let you guys in now. Anybody who's not familiar with Souls or doesn't want Souls spoiled for them, tune out now, because I'm gonna let you in on the secret. Souls don't matter. That's the secret. When you realize that losing all that stuff does not matter, that's when the true Souls begins.
You know, I'll say this. This is not unique to Souls, but it's a mechanic I can't jive with. And then another reason why I can't play Returnal, because that's also a roguelike. It has a mechanic I can't jive with. And I get it. This is intentional. This is a design choice. Because there's games that are hard because they are fundamentally flawed, and there's games that's hard by design choice, which is not a problem because that's what the developer wanted you to feel for XYZ reason. But I can't jive with long in between save times. Like the idea that I can die and lose 2, 3, 4 hours of gameplay, that doesn't instill oh, I gotta learn. Like that's just like,
let me do it again. Like no, I don't.
That is disrespectful to your time.
Yeah, it's me. It doesn't. To me, it's the wrong way to go about challenge. I get it. There's a reason. There's a reason people do that, and like I get. But for me, because to me, it's the equivalent of, oh, I'm playing a game, it hard crashed, and apparently I'm just back here now.
That's what it feels like, at least. And yeah, that's exactly why I won't do it, because like it'd be interesting to try it now because I do have more time on my hands. But like before, when I only had 3 or 4,
Souls or Returnal?
Souls game. No, Returnal I can always go back to throw at my TV. But no, like any Souls game, like I think part of the reason my frustration was so great was it was like I have 3 hours on Tuesday that I can sit down and play this game.
That was when you were really tight on time.
Yeah, and like it would get to a point where I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna come back to this in a week and do the same thing over again. I was like, no, forget it. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, and I also like to, elaborate on that. Okay, I played Celeste, which is a hard game. I died over 1,000 times.
That's harder than any Souls game. I'm just gonna tell you, as somebody who has platinumed 5 Souls games.
You say the statistic like every other week. I'm surprised you don't know.
Demon Souls twice, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro 5. Yeah.
Okay.
As somebody who's done that, Celeste is harder than that. Like, harder than all those games.
But Celeste is a screen save. It's like, I can see myself get good. I can, see it. And I can do that. Like, I can do hard games. Like, I played Ori in the Blind Forest, which is, not as hard as that. But, it's definitely super challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging.
But, like, if Ori was like, oh, you died on the water tree, go back to the first boss. It'd be like, I can't, bro. Like, especially okay, so not only that, it's like, okay, rough. I died 2 hours, I gotta go back, but now I do the run again, I'm dead in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
it is, bro. That is soul crushing on such a
yeah.
Returnal
is rough.
Returnal's probably the worst example of that.
I definitely use the cloud save thing a lot.
I haven't, but I don't know. I don't think I'll ever beat that game, and I think that's fine.
I mean, I beat it. I think I had like at the end I had like 17 deaths, but it was.
But you also cheese your way through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do
that.
But
see, I think that's where Returnal fails to me, because this goes back to my earlier point. I can see the appeal of Bloodborne and Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Souls, because I've heard people. I can hear it in their voice. I can hear it in their soul. I can see it in their spirit. The reward is orgasmic.
Yeah,
it is.
You know, when you get that is the payoff of my time. It's like, yeah, it sucks, but when you get there, there's a feeling of euphoria that justifies everything you did. Versus something like Returnal, based off what I heard, it does not give you that.
No,
and
it's
like you're
ends.
just like clinging on to dear life and hoping that you don't die the entire time. Is how Returnal kind of feels.
I will never forget, and this is not hyperbole. I will never forget the time I beat the Storm King in Dark Souls 3. I will never forget that. That memory will be with me until I am dead in the ground. Like, I will remember that for as long as I live. I was shaking off adrenaline for like 5 minutes afterwards. Like, I could not. And I beat him in the hardest possible way you could. Well, maybe not the hardest possible way, because there are people out here who did level 1, like, on this guy and all this sort of stuff. But I summoned in help. When you summon in help in those games, it gives the boss extra health. And so I summoned him in. We went in. The person immediately got killed, and then it was me alone with the hardest boss in the game.
With extra health.
And I beat him. And it came down, and I had this much health left and no heals. And I was dodging for my life.
O'Dell, here's what we need to do.
All right.
We need to pick a game that Brian has to play. And then I'm going to try Demon Souls again.
Cultural exchange. Yes. And by the way, I will say, I have a character set up in Demon Souls specifically to play co-op with people.
Yes.
It is just a person that's like, hey, I'm good to co-op with, and I can be like your shield or healer or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've been looking for somebody to play this with, and nobody has taken me up on it. So between the two of you, decide one of these games that I have to play, and I'll
say Galaxy, because I mean Mario 64. I feel like, okay, yeah, you have your gripes, but I say fully beat Galaxy.
I feel like Galaxy has more variety to enjoy. Like, there's just more meat on that bone.
Yeah, and it's fundamentally still Mario.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those games that's like no game since outside of Galaxy 2 has came close to doing what it did.
Is Galaxy 2 also in that package?
No, it's not.
It is not.
It's a tragedy because I've never actually beaten it.
And yeah, it's a tragedy also because it has Yoshi and like the good classic. You just write him and he does things, and it's just like, yeah.
It takes everything Galaxy 1 does and just like, but more, and then they make and harder, and they make a game out of it. Like,
yeah, and that's the thing.
That's
about
on my
Galaxy
short
2
list this year.
Yeah, the thing that I really like about Galaxy 2 is that Nintendo's really stepped away from is making their games a legit challenge. I mean, we had Metroid Dread because Galaxy.
Are you gonna call out the chat, Chris?
No, Adam Bankhurst is in the chat. I was just saying hello.
Yeah, so Galaxy 1, actually, if you want to get all the stars, not all the stars as Luigi, just all the stars as Mario. Oh, you have these Daredevil comments. Challenge, bro. You think you can game? You think you got your
There's some hard
Souls?
shit in that game.
Yeah, run a whole level without getting hit. And you're like, oh, that sounds easy. Oh yeah. Dear God. But I think, yeah, and then Galaxy 2 was just legit harder, but like in the best way possible.
Yeah.
It's that hard that when you die, you're like, I want to do it again. But anyway, I say do Galaxy 1.
Especially if you already own it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not above procuring Galaxy 2 by any means.
Yeah, but you would have to. Oh. Yeah, but that's like really involved. Like,
is that?
Yeah, no. I say
you don't think it's worth
beat
it?
Galaxy 1 because Galaxy 2 is such a great accent to what Galaxy 1 is in its entirety.
Yeah. You could go into Galaxy 2 and be like frustrated by how difficult it gets because you haven't played 1.
But you both think that I should play Galaxy over 64.
Yeah, I think I have, as someone who, like, I remember the day we got our N64 when I was like 3 or 4 years old and seeing Bowser for the first time and like my head exploded.
Baby.
I'm a child. And like, that game is near and dear to my heart, but like even when I go back and play it now, I couldn't tell you the last time I played it all the way through. Like I usually get like to Shifting Sandland or like somewhere in the middle, and I'm just like, I'm out. Galaxy, if I start playing that game, every time I get every star. Every single time.
And I would say the added challenge of getting every star, because I feel like if you do that, Galaxy will shine even more, because you'll remember the days where Nintendo games were hard and challenging, and it'll put a smile on your face. I'm just like, bro, just give me my Yoshi's Island. Dear God.
Yeah.
Why is it so
That's
hard?
another game I need to play. I've started playing that game so many times, and I think I've only gotten to like whichever one, the Piranha Plant boss.
I think that's like the third or fourth world.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's as far as I've gotten, and that was ages ago. I've seen that freaking baby that you have to knock the pants off of 1 billion times. But, I've only ever gotten to that Piranha Plant guy once, and that's as far as I've gotten.
Yeah. But yeah,
so I will install Demon Souls tonight on the PS5.
I'll reinstall it. Except the game that I'm reviewing on PS5 right now is 68 gigs, and I'm like, jeez.
That storage is precious.
And I'm not buying one of those NVMe expansion drives.
I'm waiting like a year.
Oh,
I can't justify it.
I really hate it's just like I'm at the point now, new PS5 game. What 2 games gotta go?
Yep.
Don't know why it's 2, but apparently it needs to be 2.
Yeah, because we gotta have enough room for me and all of my friends. It's really wild, because remember before these consoles were announced, we were like, it's gotta be 1 terabyte minimum, right?
It's
like 600 gigs or something like that.
It's like 862. It's some obscure number, and then it's less than that because of the OS.
Yep. It's
I
legit
feel
like 600 or 700.
Yeah. It's stupid, because I feel like they know what we mean. We want 1 terabyte of usable space for me.
Right.
Yes.
Like
if your hardware needs 800 gigabytes to run, that's separate. That's
that we don't count that.
Yeah.
I don't care about that.
Yeah. And also, I want Red Dead 2 to not be 180 gigs on my hard drive. I need to be able to have more than 1 game on here.
You don't have an external hooked up for PS4?
I don't have a PS4.
No, for your PS4 games. Oh, yeah.
Man,
dude, I have like a 5 terabyte drive popped in there.
Now,
Red Dead is too long for what it's asking you to do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I bounced off of that as soon as they tried to get me to take a shower, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. Yeah. But that's another one of those games. Like I have Red Dead 2 installed specifically because of that thing we were talking about earlier, where it's just like, I feel like I just kind of need to see this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to a certain extent. Because like the early stuff, like I didn't find it fun, but it is impressive, which is generally how I feel about Rockstar games. It's like, yo, this is Grand Theft Auto 5, Grand Theft Auto 5 is really impressive when you go around the city, but like it's not fun. The shooting is like not fun. The driving is okay, but like,
here's Grand Theft Auto 5's worst problem. All the best missions are done early on in the game. The first heist is the best. The first missions when you get introduced to characters are the best. The story beats at the beginning are the best. So it's like a 5-hour game with 20 extra hours on it, doing stuff that wasn't as good as the first 5 hours.
Ugh.
Dang.
Maybe that's why I fell off of it.
But that's how I see it. It's like, wow, this was good. Wow, this is good. Cool. Surely the second heist will build on the things we did in the first one. No. Well, cool. Surely the third heist will do. No. Well, surely the last. What? Why are we going backwards?
Yeah, I did like the first heist, and I did get through that.
It's the best heist in the game. You played the game.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I guess I did play the game. And then I did the stuff with like the apple where he's like, we got to make a bomb. And then Lester's like trying to do a bunch of other stuff. But I don't think anything is going to top the moment when Lamar like just roasts Franklin on his front yard. Like I literally watched that at the beginning of the game and I was like, this is amazing. If this is the game, I understand why people love this. Like this is like exactly what it was now. Like. It is a meme, but it deserves to be a meme.
It does.
But like I was like, wow, this is exactly how harsh me and my friends were to each other, like coming up. It was we were always just tearing each other to pieces over like just oh wow, you look like garbage. Like,
two more hard and hot takes. GTA should have just had one protagonist and be Franklin, because his story was clearly like the main story, and the other two stories were just like one's like a psychotic pill popper with no redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
And the other one's just like an angry middle-aged dude who could have had a cool story but didn't. And
Michael is so boring. Anyway, yeah, so I agree with you on that hot take.
Yeah. And Grand Theft Auto 4 is actually one of the better Grand Theft Autos and gets zero love for some strange reason. And I'm just like, why? Like, I love Nico Bellic's story, and I loved Grand Theft Auto 4. So.
That's the only one that I've played like to completion. Like, I loved that game.
Yeah, and had 2 incredible DLCs.
Yeah, the Ballad of Gay Tony, and what was the other one?
The biker gang one. What was it called? I can't remember.
I can't remember the name of that one, but yeah, you were.
It was whatever name the biker gang was.
Yeah,
but
was it
those 2 DLCs actually offered 2 different. Was it
Lost in the
Oh my
Damned?
God, I didn't even play this game, and I got it.
Yeah,
the power of marketing.
Yeah, I mean, but I've heard people talk about that. Like, I've heard people talk about GTA 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it is both of those DLCs play dramatically different from the main game and dramatically different from each other. So
well, maybe instead of playing GTA 5, I should go back and play 4.
I would recommend it.
Too bad it runs really well on Series X.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm pretty okay. Let me fact check that. I'm like 99% sure that was one of the ones that Digital Foundry like tested with though when that whole feature started coming out, or when the console came out.
Oh wait, is that the one where it's like with the meme of oh shit, here we go again?
No, that's San Andreas.
Yeah, it's San Andreas.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Is that 3, or is that just a different thing?
No, it's 4. Okay, because you have Vice City. You have 3 Vice City, then San Andreas. So if you're going by that logic, San Andreas would be 5,
and then 5 would be 6.
5 would be 7.
5 would be 7. Okay. I remember in now this is gonna age me. We've been aging you down, Chris. We're gonna age me up. In college, I remember people playing Vice City, and like rolling around.
I mean, I liked Vice City a lot. Ray Liotta, right? Wasn't he the protagonist?
All I remember was people were playing it in like my dorm's common area, and I would just like sit there with my neighbors and listen. He would drive around, and I would just listen to the radio shows.
Yeah,
and they were so funny.
Yeah,
like that was the thing where I was like, oh yeah, Grand Theft Auto, the radio show game. Like yeah, that's great.
So San Andreas would be the true 5, and then Grand Theft Auto 4 would be 6.
Yeah.
If we're going chronologically.
So really, we're waiting for Grand Theft Auto 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ugh.
But yeah, no, I really think 4 is overshadowed. I think San Andreas is good in the sense that they took the story seriously. Because before then, it was always just kind of goofy.
Yeah.
But San Andreas was like a legit, like, like it was, 90s era, like Boys in the Hood style. And like, they had like, big names voice acting and stuff like that. And CJ's just kind of a cool character. Like, despite, the Grand Larson, he's relatable.
Yeah.
And then Nico Bellic, like in a similar fashion, is also just a good character with a good story. And unlike and then 4, unlike in the other game, it kind of asks you to balance your morality. Like, yeah, you have to kill people and stuff, but like there's like you have choices.
You also need
in
to
that
take
game.
out the trash,
Yeah.
It's fine.
No, like there's morality choices in the game that affect it. Like think of it like your Paragon and Renegade meter. Like, yeah, you're gonna be blasting through people, but the choices you do make do affect who lives and dies.
But you're going through blasting people, but you can't also punch the reporter.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you. Oh, what a good talk! Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
O'Dell.
this was great. Thank you so much for being on.
No problem. Thank y'all for dealing with my philosophical nonsense.
Dude, this is where we live.
Yeah,
this is the good stuff. So
And definitely after you beat Mario Galaxy, I'm gonna come on and be like, so how many hours did it take for it to get good? So make sure you make when that moment hits, I need you to like hit the stop the timer and let us know.
Yeah, go into the Switch, go into your profile, take a screenshot of that little that counter that they do.
So I need to start the counter over again, right? I need to go into my my profile right now and see how long. Okay, Super Mario 3D All Stars played for 2 hours or more.
Did you play Mario 64 at all?
I think I hopped in for like 5 minutes on.
It's probably fine.
On Sunshine, or something like that, and then I was like, nope, not doing this. Which, man, I loved that game on GameCube. I played so much of that game. When they told me to take my backpack off, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm not gonna take my backpack off for you guys. I'm keeping Flood with me.
Those levels
I gotta float around. They are dumb hard and not fun. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna do a backflip and then like shoot around on my jetpack. Because this is the Mario that I need.
Mario Maker, I'm convinced. Those damn levels.
Oh yeah.
They're pretty nuts. Mario Maker is up there. I mean, it's good to, like that you guys are like trying to get me to play like a Mario game, because like Mario is like very, very up there for me. So
is it?
If there was a blind spot that I was gonna fill out, like, why not Mario?
Yeah.
The only other blind spots that I had were the big ones until lately were the Pokemon Silver and Gold.
Yeah.
And then Ultra Sun and Black 2, like that generation of that. But other than that, I played all the Pokemon games, and that's like another thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gold and Silver is not one of the best Pokemon games, but just like one of the best RPGs of all time.
Yeah. I'm in the post game of Soul Silver right now, but I stopped to play like a bunch of other stuff. I think I just beat the Electric Gym. I think I'm like trying to, or no. I just beat the Fighting Gym. I'm like in that area, like the Silph area.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm having fun. It's weird exploring it like backwards. Not really backwards, but like in a totally different way. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but this is my first time with it, so it's very cool. It's definitely way up there for me.
Play Thousand Year Door if you don't want to play Galaxy.
Yo, that's a game in my blind spot.
I've never played a Paper Mario game.
What? I don't know why I just went like Metal Singer, but that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Okay, both of y'all. Both. I don't care if I gotta fund it. You don't need to play the first Paper Mario. It's good, but you can live without it. Is it accessible on
Switch?
No.
Okay.
Dolphin.
But
I do not condone piracy.
You wouldn't download a card, but
yeah,
I would, dude.
I mean, if you
Borderlands, I download cars all the time.
I mean, if you got a GameCube, I still got my copy, but I think they're not hard to find. But however you play it, Thousand Year Door, top 3 traditional JRPGs, because it's a JRPG. One of my top 3 JRPGs. And also including that list is Final Fantasy VII Remake, just to let you know how good that game is.
Wow.
Okay.
What's your take on, because this is one that I have wanted to play for a long time and was going to play this year.
I want to have O'Dell back and get like his top 20 like we did ours.
Yeah, right. Super Mario RPG.
Product of its time.
Okay, that's what I figured it was. Yeah, it kind of was, but I've never hopped into it ever.
Yeah, I played it when I was younger, but I didn't know what the hell it was. I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
what is? And then so I played it, believe it or not, on the Wii Virtual Console.
Oh wow!
When I fully beat it, and it's solid for RPGs of that time. It deals with a lot of some of the frustrations and constraints of RPGs of this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. Don't have no love for Gino. Don't know what that's all about. I didn't see it.
Is that where that character is from?
Yeah. That's the
Gino's
only game he's in.
Yeah.
People were like, oh, Gino's coming to Smash Bros. I'm like, who the hell is this?
Yeah. Super Mario RPG.
Okay. Yeah, now you know that's where he's from. And I don't see it. It's a good story, like, but it's still very much like, okay, this is gonna sound weird. Most Super Nintendo games still hold up visually. That one does not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if I could play it again like today. Like if I didn't play it, you know, during the Wii U and I was still younger and just kind of had time, I'm not something that's sure I could slug through because it's games you already played just with a Mario Paint over it. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing. The only thing Mario about it is the Mario Paint that's covered up basically any other 8-bit RPG you've already played.
Okay.
So that's why I'm just like it doesn't.
So 1,000 Year Door over that by a mile.
Oh, definitely. One, it's a Mario game in its DNA. Two, it's extremely well written. And three, they found a way for it to be interactive in unexpected ways.
This is happening this year.
No, selling us on this.
Yeah, this is happening.
Like, yeah,
we'll
like
have to
it's
we'll have to do like another 60
Can I
beat or
spoil
something.
something that happens in the first boss battle?
Yeah.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so in this game, you have a crowd, and the crowd plays into your battles. Like when a battle starts, a crowd is watching you, and at first it's kind of quirky, like it's it's an RPG. That's kind of what happens sometimes. But they interact with you. Like if you suck, they boo you and throw stuff at you. But if you do good, they'll help you out in the bind, like give you power items and stuff. And so and you know it happens early on. They teach you the crowd mechanics. So when you fight the first boss, like it's going on, things are going well for you. You're about to beat the boss, and the boss is like, "Man, F this crowd," and she eats half of them and gains all her HP back. And then you fight her without a crowd.
That's dope.
That's awesome.
And it's like, what?
That reminds me of
what
like
just happened here?
Of like a way more expanded version of like that first major fight in Final Fantasy IX, where you're like, hey, we're fighting in front of the theater people. Is this believable? Have at you. Oh, 98 out of 100 people believed you. You get this money and this item and that sort of stuff. But like way more impactful.
But like and you know it sounds like, but like the game just does. It's Nintendo creativity firing off on all cylinders from A to Z in that game.
Okay, now I gotta play this game.
Yeah, and it's and from an RPG standpoint, it's actually challenging. And like to this day, I've never beat the secret boss.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's gotta happen.
Yep.
I'll fire that baby up.
So I'm gonna put those on my list. I'm gonna do Galaxy and then I'm gonna do 1,000 Year Door.
There you go.
Well, thanks, O'Dell. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank y'all.
And thank you, ladies, gentlemen, and people of all kinds, for joining us for episode 218 of The Platformers. If you have thoughts or topics that you want to share, you can give it to us in Twitch chat at twitch.tv/platformerspod, where we record and stream every Monday night. If you want to check out the episode archive, you can go to youtube.com/platformerspod. And if you want to reach us all personally on Twitter, you can find us as a podcast at twitter.com/platformerspod. And you can find me personally at Ribnax, RIBNAX.
You can find me on Twitter at Shrives93. Yeah, I don't have anything else to plug. I'm just there.
And you can find me on Twitter at O'Dell Harmon Jr. and anywhere else because I just use my name. Brandon, people.
Heck yeah, man. That's the best way to do it. But yeah, I've got some stuff coming out on IGN.com, but you're going to have to wait until the next FromSoft game comes out. And until then, I'm just going to be playing a bunch of fun stuff. I'm really excited about some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about in the next few weeks. But yeah, that's all we got. So please review us on your podcast platform of choice. And if you have fun with the show, share it with friends and family, that sort of stuff. We don't advertise, so that's the only way that we spread and grow is word of mouth. And we rely on you, our wonderful listeners and viewers. Anyways, from everybody here at the Platformers, we hope you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there, because until next time, we are out.
Bye.
Peace.
Oh, boy.